and welcome to episode 591 of Good Luck High Five. We're a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Megan. And I'm sitting here with other host today, Greg. What's up, Greg?
Hi, Megan. It's so good to be back on the podcast.
Oh, my goodness. We were just trying to figure out when was the last time you were on the podcast, and it was during COVID.
It's been at least 3 years.
Wow.
I was shortly after kind of the pandemic lockdowns happened.
Yeah.
I was on an episode to talk about the Pro Tour that I had just been on, the first remote Pro Tour. And since then I moved to DC, I moved to New York, I moved back here. It's been
You've had a life since then. I literally was like, gosh, why haven't you been to the office? And I literally forgot that you lived in a different place.
That is true. That's why I haven't been here, but it's good to be back on the podcast. I'm so happy to be here today.
We're so excited to have you. You're here today, and one, you're great. Thank you so much for being here. Also, Maria cannot speak.
Yes.
I'm not going to, Maria, do you want to come and whisper something into this microphone so that we can hear what you sound like?
This is my voice.
And you may be like, no, that's Maria doing a bit. No, that's what Maria sounds like. I have also heard her do that voice as a spooky, creepy voice, but in this case today, it's just her normal voice.
Yeah.
Before we get going, we have a couple of people to thank, and first and foremost, amongst them are you, the patrons of this podcast. Thank you so much to everyone who is a patron, no matter how long you have been one, but thank you especially to new patrons, Patty and Joseph.
Yay!
Greg, we make puns out of the new patrons' names.
Yeah.
So, do you have a pun that you want to try for one of these? Do you want to try a pun for one of these two names?
Okay.
You can pick first.
Okay.
And I'll go second.
Okay,
I'll give you an example, Greg.
Okay.
Hey, Patty, you should give yourself a patty on the back for being such a great person.
Whoa!
There you go.
Love that.
Yeah.
So now I have to make a pun off Joseph.
This is a much harder one. You shouldn't have Greg, I tried to let you go first.
More like, whoa, Sif, thanks for being a patron.
Greg, that was perfect. That was literally perfect.
Thank you so much. I've been working on that one for a while.
You can become a patron. You get so many great benefits. You get access to our Discord, where we talk about everything from the latest episode to just random stuff, to card previews, to Commander, to our draft records. It's a really great time. And other different tiers get you other different great benefits. So consider becoming one today. When you become a patron, you support not only this show, but also Commander Arcade, which is our Commander gameplay show. And we have a new episode out this very week. We have our friends Aaron from the Lady Planeswalker Society and our friend Tyler come and play some Outlaws of Thunder Junction decks that we built. So not the precons, but our own commanders that we chose. And let me tell you, it is an excellent time. You will not see the end of this game coming. It is a huge surprise and a really great game. So go on over to youtube.com/@GLHF Commander to check out that game. It's real good. You can become a patron by going to patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Thank you as well to our sponsor, Card Kingdom, cardkingdom.com/GLHF, the place to go for all of your magical needs. Greg, what is something that you've had to buy for Magic recently?
Something that I've had to buy a lot of random singles.
Greg, perfect place to do that. Yep. Card Kingdom.
And standard.
Yes.
There's been a lot of standard recently, and standard cards can sell out.
Yes.
Because, people, it's a new supply. And so big stores like Card Kingdom, great place to buy standard staples if your local game store is sold out.
Yeah,
which is often the case with standard staples.
Yes. So, if you're out there trying to build a standard deck or one of the many other kinds of decks that you can build, we're going to talk about some of those today.
Yep.
cardkingdom.com/GLHF Magic. Head on over there. It's time for the randomizer. I'm going to Scryfall.com and clicking on the random card button. Oh my. All right. And Greg's going to tell me what he sees.
Okay.
All right. Here you go.
Oh my gosh, wow. For those who don't know, way back in the day, there was a set called Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
That told the story of Arabian Nights. And we're looking at Princess Jasmine here.
Yes.
She's on a carpet. She's got a bottle. There's the bird, Iago, is hanging out just off screen.
Iago, definitely part of the original Arabian Nights stories.
Look, I'm going off my knowledge of the Disney movie here.
Yes.
That genie looks nothing like Robin Williams' genie, but here we are.
This genie looks like Flubber.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
Do you know this card?
No, I definitely don't.
All right.
I'm guessing that it's from Arabian Nights because of the general vibes of the card.
It has vibes.
I think it's the carpet.
All right.
Is what's going on.
Tell us what this card is.
Yeah, I mean it's a really old card, so it has to be really bad is the issue. Like you're tempted to make it good, but this is like giving flying back in the day. That costs like a lot of mana. So I'm gonna say this is like flying carpet. It's like an artifact for like 6 mana. And it has like 4 in tap. To give a creature flying until end of turn.
I absolutely am in love with this card that you just
total
designed.
Mana, one's flying.
One instance. You have to tap. I love that you have to tap it, so you can't even give multiple things flying.
No.
It's like one thing.
Flying.
Okay, this is Alabara's Carpet.
Okay.
It's actually from Legends.
Wow.
I know. Oh my god. This is actually very funny. So it's a 5 mana artifact.
Okay.
5 and tap. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn by attacking creatures without flying.
Wow, okay. So it does cost 10 total mana to do its thing.
It does cost 10 total mana to do its thing.
I told you artifacts were really bad back in the day.
This is a terrible, this card does terrible things. Wow, you really nailed this, though. Well, you nailed that it was the carpet. Mm-hmm. You nailed that it was an artifact.
Yeah. I'm honestly shocked that it's not from Arabian Nights. I wonder if it was like old art that they commissioned for Arabian Nights that then wasn't ready. Yes. I don't know quite how they did the art back then.
They just didn't use it. Wow. This card costs $66.
Wow. It's probably on the reserve list.
It probably is. That's probably what's happening
Back in the day, they were really afraid to make artifacts do good things because of the color pie.
Yeah.
And they were like, preventing damage, that's like a white effect. So we don't want, red decks to be able to prevent damage. So they fixed that by making old artifacts cost 1,000,000 mana.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so worried about this card being too good. All right.
Okay, so now I'm going to do one.
You're going to find me a random card.
Find you a random. Ooh, this is a nice. And then I just zoom in on the art.
You click on, there's a button down here that says download art crop.
Ah, okay.
And if you click on that, it'll open it in a window.
Okay. Here you go.
All right. Ooh, this is familiar. I feel like, okay, gosh, this has got to be, I'm trying to figure out if this is Murders or Streets of New Capenna, which I think is maybe something that people have critiqued Murders at Carlisle Manor about.
You can tell by the hat, maybe. How's the hat?
That's true. The hat is very detective-y.
Okay.
This is a detective hat. Okay. Great point. And this architecture in the back is very Ravnican, right? You see these. It's the city of Ravnica for sure.
Do you know this card, though?
I'm not sure
I do.
I'm going to say that this is... I don't know that I do, but we'll make it up, okay?
Great.
We're gonna say that this is definitely a blue card. She's breaking glass. Okay, there's like some breaking of the fourth wall happening because look at this skull. Okay, sorry, there's so much going on in this art actually now that I'm looking at it. There's like a person in a detective-y hat. There's 2 men being frightened. What's new? And she's like, this person in the detective hat, they're like reaching out and breaking glass that's between the viewer and the scene. And then from that glass, there's like all of these shadowy ghost skeleton faces. You see that?
Yeah.
That's sick.
That's
this art
cool
is
art.
really sick.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say that this is, it has to be something about shattering, right? This is going to be like, oh man, this is going to be like Break the Truce. All right, I'm going to call this Break the Truce. I'm going to call it a blue card. It's going to be like 1 in a blue, Break the Truce. This card is just exactly like other cards, but this one's going to be like target creature. No. Oh boy. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3.
Okay.
There we go.
No more lies.
What? This is no more lies?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no. I was like,
I was just referencing. This is Counterpoint.
Whoa.
Counterpoint from the Murders of Karlov Manor Commander set.
Oh, okay. Now I understand why
It is blue and black. Counter target spell. You may cast a creature, instant sorcery, or planeswalker spell from your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to that spell's mana value without paying its cost.
Wow.
So it's kind of a hybrid counterspell reanimation. That's what the skulls are, I guess.
This is kind of sick.
This is pretty cool.
This is very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I landed on that it was a counterspell.
Yeah.
And that it was Ravnica.
Yeah.
And that those skulls were spooky.
They were very spooky. But that's hard on Ravnica. There's a lot of ghosts in a lot of different colors.
Exactly. That's very true. Pro Tour chat time.
Yeah, let's talk about the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
So I got to go back to the Pro Tour. It's my first Pro Tour in 3 years,
Yeah.
which was a ton of fun. My first Pro Tour in kind of the new system
Yeah.
of Pro Tours that they have.
How did you qualify?
Oh, great question. I played in the regional championship in Denver last February. I, in fact, didn't play many RCQs that season, so I wasn't qualified for Denver. But I went anyway with friends and played some last chance qualifiers. So I played a sealed last chance qualifier and won that. So I had to really quickly assemble a modern deck. And I played Domain Rhinos, which was the hot new tech of that tournament.
It really was.
I had never played no one had ever played the deck before. We learned about it the day before. My friends convinced me to play it, and I managed to top 32 that tournament.
Wow.
Which was a really great time. Honestly, I ran really hot in that tournament. I had a lot of opponents multi-5, and the fact that I was playing a new deck that I wasn't familiar with was, I think sometimes pro Magic players will talk about how, like, it's not always the tournament that you feel like you're like the best prepared for or the most knowledgeable about. Sometimes it's just kind of when everything comes together.
Yeah.
The last regionals I played was San Diego, and that one I felt super prepared and ready for and really confident about my deck, and I fell just short of qualifying there. Which is, it's fine. That happens. But then this time, everything came together perfectly, and I qualified for the Pro Tour. Which
That's amazing.
Which was great. And now I'll say, for all of you out there, they've just added more invitations to the RCs. So it used to be top 32 in the US. Now it's top 64.
And that's literally already in effect, like for this current set of them.
Yep. There's actually, I think, 2 weeks from now is
it's
RC Dallas. I'll be there. If you're going to be there, come and find me and say hi. I'd love to meet you. I won't be playing the main event because I'm actually already queued for the next Pro Tour through my performance at the last Pro Tour. But there's some cool like sealed and casual drafts and stuff, and I want to go and be with my friends and cheer them on and play some fun side events.
Dallas, a notable tourist hotspot. That's sarcasm. I hate Dallas. If you live there, I'm sorry, not for bad-mouthing Dallas, but that you live there.
Yeah.
I'm just really digging a Dallas hole.
It's fine. I'll say I had some family who lived in Dallas for many years. I have good things to say about Dallas.
Greg, I also have a family that lives in Dallas, and I only say bad things about
it's fine. They moved away.
There's a reason for that. Wow, it turns out that I have a lot of Dallas roast material.
Yeah.
Okay. Roasting, one of the few things that you can do in Dallas.
That's true.
Is
just
hot.
by sitting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. So people have like talked about how this particular like qualification system can be kind of punishing. Like it can be very hard to qualify, but they've added more invites to try and kind of help alleviate that pressure a little bit.
Yep. The other thing about this invite system is that it's not only harder to qualify, it's harder to stay on the train.
Yeah.
So it used to be that if you were one of the best, 200 players in the world, you would kind of just keep getting to play Pro Tours.
Yeah.
And now this isn't the case for really anyone. Even the best of the best will miss some of the Pro Tours. Notably, one of the headlines of this most recent Pro Tour is that Nathan Stoyer, reigning world champion, is not going to be playing the next Pro Tour. Just because his last few Pro Tours didn't go well enough. He'll be playing at the USRC, might
He's not reigning world champion anymore.
Oh, sorry. He's
once dethroned.
Once dethroned.
Once
world
dethroned.
champion.
Definitely how you say it. That means that one season ago he won.
Yes.
The person who won 2 seasons ago has been twice dethroned.
Yes. Yuta Takahashi.
Yes.
Who I played at this most recent Pro Tour.
Oh, exciting.
He looks a lot like his card, I have to say. Like, because,
Yeah, he really
when you
does.
win a world championship, they make a card off of you. Nathan Stoyer looks like Duelist of the Mind, but Yuta Takahashi really looks like Fairy Mastermind. And I sat down against him and I was like, wow, you are Fairy Mastermind.
That's really cool. I think there's something about Fairy Mastermind has glasses, right? Has specifically
it's exactly the same glasses,
very
thin,
kind of square.
Yeah, thin square glasses that it's exactly the glasses that Yuta wears.
Amazing. So yeah, there used to be the pro point system, right? So you could be a platinum tier pro, you could be gold tier, which were the ways that people stayed on without having to qualify all the time. But notably gone now.
Yeah, they have added a somewhat new system called adjusted match points, AMPs, that you can use to chain invites. Don't ask me how they work. I unfortunately don't know. I know that if I get 9 wins at the next Pro Tour, I will have enough AMPs to play the next one.
Oh, that's
That is
exciting.
the number that I know.
Yeah.
So therefore, I had 10 wins at the last one. So I suppose that's 19 wins across 2 Pro Tours. We'll get you another invite.
Pro Tour.
So
all right.
AMP is...
I like amps.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. AMP is the thing that you plug your guitar into if you want to make it sound louder.
Or if you want to go to the Pro Tour.
Yes.
So, Greg, how did you not qualify? We talked about that.
Yep.
How did you prepare for this Pro Tour?
Great question. Well, one, I'm going to take this as the first of many opportunities to plug my own content that I've been doing recently. So since leaving all of my many appearances here and now being back, I have started my own Twitch channel with a good friend of mine named Andrew Ellenbogen.
Get off the show. It turns out you're competing. You have to get out of here, Greg.
I noticed you put for those of you watching on YouTube, the microphone was placed perfectly covering the logo of my own Twitch stream here. I assume that was intentional.
Yeah, absolutely it was. Yes.
Definitely very intentional. Yes. I'll have to kind of awkwardly sit this way.
It's just like how in movies, if they're using a laptop that hasn't from a company that hasn't sponsored the film, they cover it up with something. It's exactly like that.
That's exactly what's happening here. But I am one of the co-hosts of System Magic, twitch.tv/System Magic. I stream alongside my good friend Andrew Ellenbogen, who's a former Pro Tour champion. And the two of us stream mostly late at night, sometimes in the middle of the day. And we stream pretty much exclusively competitive Magic. We play a lot of kind of stock decks, kind of the best decks of the format, what we suggest if you're going to go play a competitive tournament the following weekend. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, later in the pod. But one of the ways I prepared both for the regionals and for this was just playing a ton on my Twitch stream, which I think is a really good, practice make perfect things. Also, huge shout out to the pro team Sanctum of All.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of them because a lot of the members of Sanctum of All are regular viewers of my Twitch stream. And so I'd interacted with a lot of the kind of people who run that team through that. And I was able to reach out and join their team for the Pro Tour, along with my friend and fellow former podcast guest, Matt Sickick Johnson.
Yeah.
I was thrilled to have him qualify at the same time I did, one of my best friends who I play Magic with. And so both of us joined Sanctum. We're able to work with Sanctum. A lot of Discord calls, a lot of talks about the limited format. And then, of course, they championed the 4-color Legends Slowgurk combo deck.
That deck is wild.
Yeah, which is what I played at the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
That deck was kind of innovated by Jason Yi and Ray Zhang, CFT Soak, you might know them better as. They both top-8'd the Pro Tour with their own creation, which was super
really cool.
And they kind of taught all of Team Sanctum how to play the deck, and Team Sanctum in general did great. Nicole Tipple came in 12th. Etienne Egeschweller, sorry, I don't remember how to pronounce their last name, but they came in 9th. I came in 17th. And Kane Reinhardt had a pretty good finish. Matt requeued. And so a lot of us ended up
a really impressive showing. You're kind of just they did very good. No, it's Sanctum of All had a pretty dominant performance.
Oh, it was a great Pro Tour for us and a really fun thing to be a part of as someone who was new to the team.
Yes. Also, Ray's handle I learned at this most recent one is combo for the sake of combo.
For the sake of combo. Which is a good description of the types of deck they play in general and the Slowgurk deck.
Which, do you know what? Respect. I think that that's pretty sick.
Yeah, there were a few. We all kind of expected CFT to bring one or two like wild brews to the table. And once Honest Rutstein was spoiled, they were like pretty into Slogurk. But definitely once or twice, they were like, what about this deck? And put the most insane combination of cards together. And I know that they're looking to play some of those decks in more casual tournaments.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out if you want to see some wacky brews.
That's
from
very
CFT
exciting.
Soak.
I also just want to like shout out Sanctum of All very notably, especially when they formed their team. They were like, hey, if you need a pro team, you can join Sanctum of All, which I think is like one, really great, especially when there are like a lot. Pro teams are great. They do a lot of good work for a lot of players who need a lot of prep, but a lot of them can be very much like, oh, you need to be friends with someone in this, or you need to be like kind of a known factor already for them to ask you and invite you into it. And so I think that it's just so cool that Sanctum is about like, you don't need to have that, like there is not that barrier to entry, but like, and then also to put up that kind of result to be like, hey, it turns out you don't need to just like only take what you're thinking are like the best of the best players out there. And you don't need to be taking like only people who your friend has vouched for or whatever. You can legitimately make a really great team out of players who are just out there trying to get good for the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And that's really amazing and cool.
Something you learn quickly at the Pro Tour is it's the Pro Tour. Everyone, like, there were only ish 200 players there. Like,
yeah.
Everyone who was there, incredibly good. Even the person who came in literal last place is a phenomenal Magic player. And I say that having in my life come in literal last place at a Pro Tour.
Greg, I didn't even know that until you recently told me. And I think that is an excellent factoid.
Yeah, it's a great, we talk on my stream because my co-host is someone who's won a Pro Tour. So sometimes we joke that we have between us the two extreme results you can have at a Pro Tour. One first, one last. Only two people
best absolute worst.
get an extreme result at a Pro Tour. But yeah, I just to reiterate, just to kind of add a little bit of context to what you're saying about Sanctum, in case you're listening out there, and are interested in Sanctum of All. So their policy is that they will accept anyone regardless of anything else if you are of marginalized gender. Essentially, if you don't use he, him pronouns, you will be accepted to Sanctum regardless. And for PTs especially, the kind of core of Sanctum is a little smaller, so they reach out and add some more people to the team, which is how I was able to join. They do not accept anyone who asks, but they are pretty lenient with their accepting process. And I think if you're listening to this podcast especially and happen to queue for a PT or qualify for a regional championship and are of marginalized gender, I would highly recommend reaching out to Sanctum. And if you need help reaching out to them, I assume my information will be below in the video, and you can reach out to me.
We're hiding your information.
Twitter System Magic Greg is a good place to find me, and if you reach out, I can help put you in touch with them.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah. Just like, again, like distinguishing from the, like, you don't got to be friends with somebody over there.
Absolutely.
You don't need to be like, look, here's my great tournament results.
And for me, it was nice that like I was friends with a lot of the members of Sanctum, but Matt wasn't. And I was able to be like, hey, I would like to join. Also, can I bring my friend? He's one of the best Magic players I know. And they were pretty thrilled to welcome Matt as well.
Amazing. So, Greg, tell us about this. Tell us about the Slogurk deck, since we already touched on it. Tell us about the Gurk.
Yeah, the Gurk is quite a pile of cards. It is...
What a word for it.
It's the kind of deck where the first time you shuffle it up and you play it, you're like, what? Like, you look at your hand and you're like, huh?
Well, that's me every time I shuffle a Magic deck. I'm kidding. Anyways, keep going.
I don't know, but if I were to hand you like blue-white control or red deck wins or like Azorius soldiers, I bet you'd be able to like be like, this is an Azorius soldier deck. I'm gonna like attack and counter some spells and like really kind of conventional linear game plan.
I did pick up like Boros Convoke and play it very happily and understandingly.
Yes, exactly. And like, that's not to say like Boros Convoke is a deck with a lot of ins and outs and play to it, but kind of the basic level 1 strategy is...
It still makes sense when you look at it. You're like, oh, I play creature.
Yeah, play creature, attack with creature, make creature big. Make tokens.
Convoke Knight.
Yes.
Find cool card.
Yes, exactly. Slogurk is not that. It is a real kind of engine-based combo deck. You have lots of different legends that do lots of different things, and you use Relic of Legends, which is a mana rock that makes mana, but also can tap legends for mana. So you have all these legends. All your legends are making mana. All your legends are doing things. you use the channel lands from the new Kamigawa set that are all discounted for their channel effects based on the number of legends you have. So you get to channel them for very little mana to do cool effects like bouncing things and reanimating things with Odawara and Takenuma respectively. And then eventually you build this big engine, you use Slogurk to get your lands back, and then you win.
And then you ... win.
And in fact, this is a controversy in the Slogurk community. This is a thing a lot of people talk about is how do you...
The Slogurk community is my favorite thing.
How do you win? Because notably, a lot of people put one copy of the card Vile Smasher, I don't know, Grenadier, Goblin, Grenadier. Because having that with 2 copies of Onnit's Rutstein, which is also from OTJ. Those will you can loop them infinitely and keep playing Outlaws with your Relic, tapping things for mana as they go, and you can kill your opponent with an infinite combo. But me and a few other members of Sanctum, not many of us, left the left Vile Smasher at home and just said, we don't need an infinite combo. That when this deck goes off, you will accrue a lot of value. You get to bounce a lot of things. You get to bring back a lot of things. You get to make Shieldred. You get to make a giant Slogurk. And basically, I'm not going to worry about killing my opponent. I'm going to make this really overwhelming board position that there's no way they'll be able to beat ever. And notably, the card Urtai is an important part of this, because Urtai is a creature that when it comes into play counters a spell. And so often you can pass the turn with mana to play Urtai, use Odawara to bounce your own Urtai, and play Urtai again. And so you're you can have another turn, but I'm going to counter the first 2 things you do.
Amazing.
And most decks can't beat that.
Yeah. That's pretty sick.
So yeah, but I will say I warn, this deck is not for the faint of heart. I would say normally I am a big fan of going into tournaments with no prep and just playing whatever deck you think is good. I would suggest if you want to play the Slogurk deck, practicing with it. Goldfishing it, bringing a friend, playing it on the arena ladder, however you want to practice, I would suggest doing that. And I think going into the Pro Tour, I did not even have enough reps with the deck. I felt a little underprepared based on whatever I wanted to be. And even though I had a really good run, that was my undefeated limited performance really helped out with that. I actually had a losing record with Slogurk. I was 4-5-1. But
I will say
I went 6-0 in limited, and 10 wins is enough to requalify.
Which we will touch on in just a sec. I just wanted to say, I had randomly a couple of months ago picked up an early iteration of that Slogurk deck. That was before Honest Rutstein and stuff came out. That was just kind of someone, I guess, had also thrown it together, being Slogurk in these channel lands is pretty sick. And it was very cool, but also I played it for a month and never once played it well. But you know what? Sometimes I would still win a pretty fair number of games of Magic.
Yeah, it was around before. It kind of had a 2-week period where everyone thought it was the best deck, and then I don't know, metagames kind of wax and wane a bit, but now I think is back to being one of the top decks in Standard because of Onnit's Rutstein. I will shout out, so I mentioned my teammate Jason Yee. Jason Yee has published a lot of content about Slogurk since the Pro Tour. You can check out their Twitter. Jason ILTG is their Twitter handle. They've posted a ton of stuff about the Slogurk deck. They've been on a couple Twitch streams, including mine, to play and talk about the Slogurk deck, so you can find that content. I would strongly recommend checking out some of Jason's content if Slogurk is something you're interested in learning more about. And I do think it's a very good choice for Standard right now. If you're going to be playing the Standard RC or a big Standard tournament, or just want to play on the arena ladder and have a good deck, I think Slogurk is one of the best choices. Assuming you get the reps in.
All right, Greg, let's talk about your limited run though, buddy. 6-0, just so you all know, 6-0. There were 3 people at this Pro Tour who went 6-0.
Yep, that's true.
In limited.
Yep.
And you were one of them.
I was one of the 3, yeah. Because there are, 207 people, so divide that by 8. That's not that many draft pods, and that happens twice, and you have to 3-0 both of them. I actually had a plan for my drafts.
Tell us your plan.
I was able to execute my plan very well. So talking to people who were playing the Pro Tour, including my team, the hotness was drafting 5-color.
Yeah.
Taking the deserts really highly, using the fact that OTJ has tons of powerful cards across tons of different colors, all these bonus sheets, really good rares, valuing fixing really highly, and then being able to take all the best cards you can and splash all the bombs you open. Great strategy. I highly recommend it. However, in testing, I had a lot of drafts where everyone around me was fighting over the deserts and the fixing. And I said, I'm just going to find out which kind of 2 colors are most open. And I'm going to narrow my focus. I'm going to ignore all the deserts. I'm going to ignore all the mana fixing. And I'm going to play a fair 2-color deck.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of success with fair 2-color decks. Green-white, green-red, blue-white, blue-red, white-black, white... What haven't I said? So I will shout out the Sultai Wedge. So green, black, and blue, black. I think those are colors that really like to splash. So I wasn't looking to play those as 2-color decks. You can, it's totally fine. But I think those particular color pairs get most of their strength from splashing. All the other 7 color pairs, I think, are totally functional as a 2-color fair deck doing their thing. And I had success with almost all of them in testing.
I know that. So day 2, you had showed me your deck, which was just like, it was a green-white deck. You did have an Annie Flash.
Yes, I was splashing.
She's great.
Oh yeah, I opened Annie Splash, as I like to call her, in pack 3. But notably, after the draft, I learned that the person passing to me, so the person to my right, so the person directly passing to me, both drafts, they had over 7 deserts. And they were 5-color. They were picking deserts basically over any other common.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled to learn that because I didn't want the deserts. I wanted to be a fair 2-color deck. So the fact that they were picking the deserts meant I got to pick the good non-land cards that they were not taking.
Passing over.
And it worked out really well. This was just a total lucky coincidence for me that there's an archetype I wanted to avoid. And both times the person immediately to my right was forcing that archetype.
Yeah.
And so that worked out great for me. I had a fair red-white deck, which red-white is not very aggressive in this format. If you're drafting red-white, we called it Big Boros. It's not all about 2-drops and combat tricks like in most sets. You want to be a good mid-range deck, a lot of powerful spells, 4 and 5 drops, good removal, good creatures. And then I had the green-red splashing Annie Flash deck.
Yeah. Those are both sick. And I love that. I feel like people can get really caught up in like feeling out like what is the best deck? What is the best thing to be doing? So I love that here you're talking to pro players who have a very good like pulse on what is the best thing to be drafting. And you were able to find this like excellent like counterbalance to that in a really nice way.
Yeah.
That was very successful.
Had it been open, I would have gone into the 5-color deck. I was ready. I had some experience with it. I hadn't been winning with it as much, but I knew it was good in theory, so I was willing to jump in.
But obviously you were not going to because the person to the other side of you was not going to let you do that.
Exactly. I will also, another thing on this, so I mentioned white-black. White-black is a deck that I, pre-Pro Tour, had some trouble winning with. Yeah. And actually one of the teams, I wish I knew which team it was, but I don't remember. One of the
I know
teams
who you're talking
also
about.
identified this, and they decided that they thought other teams might find this too, and they were going to actively look to draft white-black.
Yeah.
And they did this, and actually if you look at the Pro Tour trophies from the first round of drafts, straight white-black had more trophies than any other archetype.
Yeah.
And I think it's because exactly this. They realized that, hey, people aren't going to like this archetype, so we're going to draft it, and no one else is going to take the cards we want. Yeah. And even though it's not the best archetype in the world, you'll get the best possible version of it and be able to draft.
And do well.
So
I remember, I wish that I remembered who it was, but I remember seeing someone tweet about it. Their 3-0 white-black deck from the Pro Tour being like, our team identified this as an underdrafted strategy. Yeah. And sure enough, like I was able to put together this really strong deck because no one else was looking for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Greg, for talking about your Pro Tour.
Yeah, I'll just say again, it was a really great experience. Huge shout out to both Matt, my good friend, and the entirety of Sanctum of All for making it such a positive Pro Tour. It's, I was winning a lot, but mostly I was just having a great time and like getting to see a lot of friends and play some good Magic. And I don't know, that's always the marking of a great tournament.
Yeah.
Is I was trying not to stress out too much about like, I had a win in for top 8. There were a lot of rounds where it seemed like top 8 was really in sight. I was trying really hard to not stress about that and just kind of enjoy being along for the ride. And I'm really excited to be playing in the Pro Tour again in Amsterdam.
Yay!
In a couple months.
We're going to do like a little rundown right now where I'm going to ask you about some great decks and some formats. And if you have a strong opinion, you're going to let us know what it is.
Yeah, I love that.
All
Fire
right.
away.
So standard, we already mentioned Slogurk, which you said very powerful, but learn it or else. Which I could also say, learn it or else you will lose with it a lot, which I have certainly done. What else in Standard do you think have you been trying out and playing?
Yeah, I think consensus, the best deck in Standard right now is Teamer Analyst.
Oh, yeah.
So Teamer Analyst, a land-based strategy that uses Aftermath Analyst to bring back a bunch of the like New Capenna common fetch lands for value, gain a ton of life, get a bunch of mana, wrath the board, do some really powerful things with World Soul Rage. I think most people would say that's the most powerful deck in Standard. But Standard is in a great spot right now where there are no clear winners that are above above the rest. And so I think that Teamer Analyst, great choice. Slogurk, great choice. Do you want to ask about some others? Or I can keep firing.
Let's see. Esper midrange, of course. We got to talk about it. How do you feel?
Oh, Esper midrange, I think is a good deck. I think it's kind of second tier right now.
Wow.
I think it's a tier below the ones I was just talking
Spicy.
about. I don't think it's an insane choice to bring. Esper midrange has a lot of knobs it can have. There are these days there are 30, 40 different possible cards you can play in Esper, and you can't fit them all.
Wow.
And I know right now, because Gurk and Analyst are very popular, Tashana's Tidebinder is a really popular card in Esper. Yeah. That card is really good against Gurk and Analyst because you can counter their big activated abilities.
Yeah.
And so I know there's a lot of... So if you like Esper, if you have experience with Esper and want to keep playing it, totally fine choice. I would advise maybe trying to find some space for Tashana's Tidebinder.
Yeah.
And don't leave your bats or your Rafines at home.
Don't leave your bats at home.
Some people leave their bats at home.
You heard it here first on Good Luck High Five. Good Luck High Five. Don't leave your bats at home.
Do you have your bat?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
She's right outside. Don't worry about it. Okay, what about Boros Convoke?
Boros Convoke is, I think most people would say it's in the Esper tier, but we at twitch.tv/systemagic are Boros Convoke believers. We've been streaming a lot of Boros Convoke and employing the strategy that we like to call the Coiled Viper. Where so normally with Boros Convoke like decks, you pretend they don't have a sweeper and you play everything and you jam and you try and kill them before they have their sweeper.
Yeah.
But we're a big believer in that's a good way to play game one. But once they've sideboarded, once they have more sweepers, you chill. You hang back, you coil up, and you're ready. The second they let their shields down, you're ready to strike. You have Resolute Reinforcements with Flash, Imidane's Recruiter, which gives you haste, and you kind of present a really small board, one creature at a time, and force them to act. And then when they act, out of nowhere, you present a lot of damage and kill them before they can react again.
All right. Very nice.
So I know that my co-host Andrew will be playing Boros Convoke at the RC. We've just streamed it a lot. We'll be streaming it more if you want to check it out.
The Coiled Viper.
Yeah.
Anything else in Standard that you feel like is important to touch on?
Blue Eye Control, I think, is a totally fine deck. I think I would put it in the second tier, but I think it's
first
if
tier
you're
of
a
our
control
hearts.
mage, you can definitely succeed with Blue Eye Control. Green Black is a deck some people brought to the Pro Tour, which I think has some merit to it. I feel like I'm forgetting another big deck, but I think those are the main ones.
Yeah. That seems great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say Modern is coming up.
Yeah.
Modern.
Okay, Modern is a
Teamer Rhinos, you cannot that's also true. Modern right now is about to be like really
Modern is a dead man walking at the moment because notably we're about to have Modern Horizons 3 come out. Spoilers have already started. And you can keep an eye out for more previews as they are continue to happen. But I would say if you're looking to buy a Modern deck, right now is not the time. Because every Modern Horizons has totally shaken up Modern, and I predict this one will be similar. I think that if you have to play a Modern tournament literally this weekend, I think Domain Zoo is a good choice, Yawgmoth is a good choice, the Goryo's Vengeance deck is a good choice. But I think if you've been playing Modern, I think at this point, play what you have experience with, and we'll see what happens with MH3.
Yeah. Perhaps if you wanted to play Modern after MH3 comes out, a good place to go would be watching a certain Twitch stream.
Yeah, I think once Modern Horizons is out, we will be playing a ton of Modern, both to prepare for the Pro Tour, and then I think after the Pro Tour, we'll be playing a ton of decks games with the decks that did well at the Pro Tour. Hopefully mine included, whatever I end up registering.
What about Pioneer?
Yeah, Pioneer, great question. So it's currently Pioneer RCQ season.
Yes.
So if you are looking to get some more competitive Magic in your life, check out your local game store, see when they have an RCQ coming up. Anyone can play. They're a great chance to break into the competitive Magic scene. Those are almost exclusively Pioneer this season. Pioneer is a bit of a 2-deck format at the moment.
Ooh, what are the two decks? I do not know the 2 decks.
There are 2 decks in Pioneer that are above and beyond every other deck. They are Is It Phoenix and Rakdos Vampires.
Okay, do you know what? I am no longer... Never mind. Whoops. Should have been able to answer your question. Fair enough.
There are other decks in Pioneer. I think Amalia is fine if you're an experienced Amalia pilot, but I think if you want to win at Pioneer, I would highly suggest that you play Is It Phoenix or Rakdos Vampires?
Rakdos Vampires is sick. Honestly, why would you want to play anything else? That deck is so cool.
Yeah, I love Rakdos Vampires.
Just plop a Vein Ripper, Just plop a Vein Ripper onto the battlefield and see what happens next.
It's usually a pretty effective strategy.
Be like, here he is.
Yeah, kind of for the last 3 years in Pioneer, since I've been back to playing competitive Magic, there's been 3 top decks. There was Red-Black mid-range, Is It Phoenix, and Mono Green Devotion. They banned Karn the Great Creator, so Mono Green Devotion's gone, and now there are 2 top decks. And you can play other stuff. Other stuff wins, don't get me wrong, but I think that the clear 1A and 1B are Is It Phoenix and Rakdos Vampires. So.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Greg.
Yeah, of course.
That was delightful.
Yeah.
I feel 100% more knowledgeable than I did a moment ago.
Yeah, I love talking about stock decks. There's a ton of great Magic content out there. If you want to play weird, wacky, fun decks, I don't want to fault anyone who does that. But, if you are looking to take down a local tournament and win with the best deck in the format, twitch.tv/systemagic is a good place to come check out. We tend to really focus on the tournament winning stock decks and
nice.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Amazing.
So come check us out.
All right, so Greg, it is time for Flavor Text Theater.
Yes.
We're gonna crack open this pack of OTJ. Do you want to call the rare? Do you want to?
Do I want to predict the rare?
Yeah, predict the rare.
Spire Bluff Canal.
Wow, spicy. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make us a couple of MadLibs so that you and Maria down here with her we gave Maria a whiteboard so that she can talk to us, are going to make us some new flavor text for these guys.
Nice.
Oh, it was Breaches. Oh, and Colossal Rattleworm. All right, Greg, Maria down there with your whiteboard. Are you both ready?
I'm very ready.
Okay, great. I'll tell which one. I'll tell you all which one of these you'll be doing. So, Maria, I need a verb, and Greg, I also need a verb. Okay, great. Thank you. Maria's verb is top decking. What is your verb, Greg? And then Maria, I'm gonna need a store.
Shimmying.
Ooh, great one. And then Greg, I'm gonna need a noun.
Okay.
Maria's store is Pump and Munch, which is in fact a gas station here. Greg, that noun. Maria, I'm going to need like a title, like for a person. A noun.
Pinky finger.
Pinky finger. Excellent. And I'm going to need a celebrity title. World champion. Great. A celebrity, Greg.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Yes. All right. So this is Tomb Trawler is the card. The original flavor text reads, dying is common on Thunder Junction. Resting in peace is a much rarer commodity. Baron Bertram Greywater. It now says, top decking is common at Pump and Munch. Shimmying and pinky finger is a much rarer commodity. World champion Olivia Rodrigo. Top decking is common at the Pump and Munch. So if you're looking to top deck with your deck, go play at the Pump and Munch Open.
Do you think she's the world champion of Magic or something else?
Oh man, I think she's the world champion of whatever she wants to be, quite honestly.
That's fair.
Yeah. She just is world champion. All right. For this one, I am going to need, Greg, an adjective, a describing word. And Maria, I need another verb.
Resounding.
All right. Noun. Verb, disco. Wait, adjective was not the word that I was looking for. Give me a noun, Greg. Sorry.
Bottomless mimosas.
Perfect. Excellent. So this is Rattleback Apothecary. It says, looking for a little liquid courage. I also stock liquid murder, if that's what you're after.
Okay.
Looking for a little liquid bottomless mimosas.
Always.
I also stock liquid disco, if that's what you're after. Liquid disco is absolutely a party drug. Hey, you got any liquid disco?
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs. Liquid bottomless mimosas. How else do they come? All right. Okay. Greg, I need a verb. And Maria, I need a noun.
Spin.
Yeah, spinning is great. I did, yeah. And then Greg, I also need an adjective this time for real.
Okay. Hot pink.
Hot pink. Okay. This is Rooftop Assassin. Sneaking behind people, pedestrian. Spinning behind first date, hot pink. Absolute nonsense. Remember, people, don't spin on a first date. That's hot pink.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. I need a verb. Maria, I'll have you give me a verb this time. And Greg, I need a number.
71.
71. Excellent. A verb, mulligan. And then I need a noun from each of you.
Dumbbell.
What did you call me? Buttery scone. Ooh, love it.
Got a soft brunch theme here.
Yes. Okay, this is Outlaw Medic. It says, what are you going to do? Walk 100 miles for a second opinion? Now it reads, what are you going to do? Mulligan 71 dumbbells for a second buttery scone?
I would.
I would absolutely mulligan 71 dumbbells for a second buttery scone. Well, that is our episode. Greg, thank you so much.
Wow, it's so good to be back.
It was so delightful to have you.
Yeah, this is absolutely great. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. Any other final
if there's
to discuss?
Well, okay. I will begrudgingly allow you to tell people where they might otherwise find you.
Wow, thank you so much. That really means a lot. You can check out me on Twitter. Systemagic Greg is my Twitter handle. Systemagic MTG is the handle for my Twitch stream. Those are similar, but one is just me. Twitch.tv/Systemagic is where I stream. We play a lot of stock decks. We alternate constructed and limited. We stream late at night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and middle of the day on Friday. Our VODs are also posted to YouTube. You can find Systemagic on YouTube as well. It's, I think, more fun to watch live because you can actually interact with us. But if you just want to see the decks and see how the games went, you can also watch on YouTube after the fact.
Amazing. Thank you again so much to everyone who is a patron, and especially to new patrons, Patty and Joseph. Get your own shout out by becoming a new member or increasing your pledge by $5 a month or more. And thank you again to our sponsor, Card Kingdom. And thank you again, Greg. This was great. Yeah. I hope you think so.
I definitely think so.
Amazing.